So let's talk about sending and receiving email. Likely you're already familiar with that process. You've probably done it a few times, I imagine, probably several times. But there's, again, some etiquette that we want to remember. If you attended school in the United States, usually around first or second grade, they have you memorize your address in case you ever get lost. But then they quickly teach us how to write mail, right? So on the top left of the envelope, of course, you write the return address so the person knows who sent it. And then also, of course, you would write the name and address of the person you were sending the letter to, right? That way they're aware of, oh, this was intended for this particular person. We do something very similar with email. So I will show you, I've got an email account here that I'm going to pull up for us. All right. So this is a email account for myself. And when we take a look here, we're going to just start an email. We're going to send an email. So the first thing you'll notice is that it's prompting us to write to someone, right? We're being prompted to write to someone. Pretty typical, right? That's the address, right? This would be what you would write on the middle of an envelope. What's different about email is not only do you put the name, right, and address, the email address of the person that you're sending it to, but it also says that we can tell them the subject. So when you get a letter in the mail, especially from like a friend or a family member, they usually never tell us what it's going to be about on the outside. On a very, very rare case, right? Maybe it's a special occasion. They let you know this is for you to RSVP for something. But usually we don't really know what the piece of mail is about when it's from someone we know. However, with email, this is a nice opportunity to let the person know what it is that we want to talk about. That way, there's no surprises. They don't feel stressed or worried about what it is. They just know, oh, I want to share some pictures from a recent trip with you, or I want to tell you something that's too long to get into a phone conversation about, but I'd like to share it with you. We can kind of tell them briefly in the subject line there. If we don't include a subject line, that's kind of mysterious, kind of weird. So we want to make sure that we're using that so people know what it is that we're writing them about. So of course, we put the email address of the person that we're speaking to here. So we'll just say that we're going to send an email to johndoe@gmail.com. And from there, we can just say sharing pictures from trip to Mazatlan, right? Maybe we took a trip to Mexico and we're just going to share some pictures. So if we wanted to share these pictures, how do we do it? Well, email has a functionality called attachments. So if you were sending a physical letter, right, you'd get your envelope, and before you sealed it up, maybe you'd write your little letter, fold it up, put it in the envelope, but then you just slip some photos in there as well, right? Or maybe, if you're really tech savvy, you might throw a thumb drive in there for them. That's not a great idea. So how do you do this on an email? If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's a lot of options for editing the text. So we've got the B, as you can see, stands for bold. You got the I, which stands for italics, and the U, the underline, that's for editing your text. But if you wanted to attach something, there's always a Q, no matter what sort of email you use, whether Yahoo, Outlook, it doesn't matter. There's always a Q on the screen that's going to alert you to here is where you put an attachment. So if you were going to attach something in a physical way, let's say you wanted to connect a piece of paper and a picture, what would you use? Well, maybe if you didn't care about the picture, you'd staple it, but that's unlikely. You'd want someone to get a good photo that's got integrity. You don't want to put holes in it. So usually we'd use a paper clip. So oftentimes that paper clip, as you can see there, that's what is our cue. That's our sign to know that we use that to attach files. And you see, as I hover my mouse over it, it says attach files. So we can do that. We click on it and then we get some options, right? So let's see, I want to go to my pictures. Here's a picture of me getting ready to send a picture to someone, and you see it's already selected, it's got a name, and I just hit open, which is, I know that's confusing. We're not actually opening it, but we're opening it in the sense that we're going to attach it to this email, right? So we've got our address here at the top. You know who we're sending it to. We've got a nice subject line so the person knows what they're getting. We haven't typed any text. There's no need to get into that. But the most important part is we have attached the image, right? We've attached something. Now let's say I attached the wrong thing. I made a mistake. So if we hover over this one attachment, you'll notice there's an X, and you see what it says? Remove attachment. So if you don't like the one that you sent, don't worry. You just click the X and it goes away. Now, when you are working with other emails, or if you're, for example, doing an email on your phone, it will look different, right? And if you use a different email, if you use Gmail or if you use Outlook, it may look differently than what we just saw as we use the Yahoo email. But the point is the same. If you want to attach something, you'll be looking for a paperclip or maybe a plus sign right somewhere on the screen. That's going to be your cue that this is what you use to add an attachment. Again, you see attach files, right? And we're going to grab our picture. We will place it in there by clicking open. And if we decide I don't like that picture, no problem. You just click on remove attachment. And I believe everyone would have been able to see that this time.